So, Davy, you have worked with top banks, and with recent happenings in these top institutions, is cryptocurrency movement well on its way to going mainstream, or there's a long way to go?
Yeah, great question. And something that I want to really share right now, because and you talk about innovation, right? And I spoke about, in order to get innovation, we have to get an investment dollar, right? And I'm very happy to say that in Singapore, we have regulations set up for fund managers like myself to set up a fund structure to receive either fiat or even crypto into the fund. So we are allowed to receive crypto into the fund and invest in blockchain platform, right? And that will allow the innovation that Andy talked about, right? So Singapore government is very proactive in promoting blockchain adoption. So this will be a great way, beside the Tesla of the world accepting 1.5 billion and the rest. I think we have to put money and create the innovation and support the innovation. So, and in Singapore, we have the regulation to allow people like myself to receive crypto, which thereafter we can give a return to the investor, either in fiat or in crypto as well. So I will encourage any one of you who support this idea to invest your crypto holding into innovation. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. I think I had a discussion with Blockcast on blockchain in general and for Africa in scope. And I think way back in March, I made a suggestion, especially if a country like Ghana can go in for blockchain technology, especially in these early stages, because I think if we developing countries are looking up to catch up with the developed countries, blockchain is one of the technologies that we can adopt and take advantage of. Especially considering like what you just explained for Singapore, where to the extent where services can be rendered and people can be rewarded in terms of tokens and fiat. Like there's that coexistence between tokens and fiat when it comes to paying people. I think if most countries can also take advantage of it, it will help fasten the mass adoption of blockchain and crypto in general. So just to find out from Andy and Dr. JD, with regards to global jurisdictions, which ones do you think are taking the lead in the adoption of blockchain technology? And what are your thoughts on countries rejecting Bitcoin and other crypto or blockchain projects? We've seen China launching their digital projects recently. What are your thoughts, Andy?
I think again I think this topic is huge, you know, but in terms of adoption, countries like Singapore is very open. You know, you just got to follow the rules. UK as well, South Korea as well, you just follow the rules. There are very clear rules that are in place, so you can just follow. China is very much against cryptocurrency, banning cryptocurrency, but is very into the blockchain technology. You know, but all these countries are actually in very different state. You know, very different state of adoption. I give you an example. Yeah. So, you know, you have mentioned about, you know, developing country using blockchain. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? You know, but if you look at it from another angle, you know, in order for Singapore to adopt a fully blockchain system, you got to get rid of a lot of legacy system, and that's never going to happen. You know, that is also one reason why Singapore is very backwards in terms of fintech. You know, I'm sorry, Davy, you could correct me if I'm wrong. It's very backwards. I was like locked in Singapore for 1 year right now, and then I look at the apps and things that they are trying to push out for payment related apps. All those things are things that I saw in China 10 years ago with WeChat Pay and Alipay. You know, those are the legacy issues. But if you look at maybe developing countries, they have a chance to work in a lot faster because they do not really need to care about all those legacy issues that come with it. Same goes for cryptocurrency. You know, is China's position for his central bank digital currency going to change how things going to work? You know, if they decide to adopt cryptocurrency, I think they will be the fastest because they already have the infrastructure. They are very much ahead of time. It's just a matter of whether they want to push it or not. On the other hand, US would be in a very strange place. You know, some states, they are okay with are more friendly with cryptocurrency. Some are really not. And one very funny joke that I would want to share, you know, with all of you is how the US citizens are looking at cryptocurrency. You know, they are some of them, maybe they have a few $1 million and so forth. They want to start a company that is crypto related, but they are not comfortable to put their names onto their white paper. They are trying to manipulate and operate the company remotely, and all these actions, you know, trying to hide themselves under a Panama company, BVI company, so forth and so on, but managed to get maybe 30 million or 40 million or 50 million worth of investment during this time. Do you think they are safe? Actually, they are not safe, you know, because you see, JD is shaking his head very much. I think they are not safe because as long as there are trails that can track you back to where you are a US citizen, you did a big fundraise that looks like an ICO, you could be like the next Ripper, you know, you could be having a court case for the next 10 years, you know, SEC after your back. So I think it's not safe at all. So coming back to the point of regulation, you know, there are people who are looking at fully decentralized and some people are looking at fully governed. I think there should be a very good sweet spot in the middle where things can balance out. You know, US citizen, for example, will not be so paranoid. I give you an example, real situation. I can't mention names and so forth. There's an incident where I got to know, you know, someone posted the token name and then a rocket beside it, and that US citizen came to saw that post, and then you know, that person was saying, oh, this is trying to signal that the price is going up, you know. But this is nonsense, because if that is a signal to go up, I think Elon Musk would be jailed long time ago, you know, based on all his Twitter posts. SEC would strip him off from everything. So I think we should not go to that extreme end of being very paranoid. We should look at it from a very practical and realistic angle. You know, how are you going to promote your coin? How are you going to promote your cryptocurrency in the best manner? Really in the best manner. Best manner means you look at how the traditional securities are doing it, understand it, come up with something very similar, and just run with it. Because if you can pass that security act, you know, in whichever country that you are in, most likely you are fairly safe. So coming back to this point again, regulations got to be in place. Government got to really step up to look at the regulations and do not kill themselves, because I've seen people coming out with regulations that's going to kill themselves. And again, you know, we are, for myself and a few others, we are working with countries like Moldova. You know, they are also looking at getting themselves a fair bit more crypto friendly, so forth and so on. You know, and they have a different regime, you know, from what Singapore is trying to do. I think those are some of the things that we should continue to look at and create a more crypto friendly and self-governing kind of environment. Sorry, I think I said too much, man. Doc, it's your turn, man.
All right. You said wonderful things, Andy, and you mentioned a lot of good input through which we can create a much more friendly, crypto-friendly environment. But I also want to be the devil's advocate on behalf of all those governments who say crypto, no thank you. And that is, the only currency which is able to compete with the United States dollar when it comes to money laundering, cyber criminality, general criminality is Bitcoin. And it's actually already getting closer to the volumes in those criminal circuits that are floating around the world in US dollars. So that's one side of cryptocurrency, which we don't mention when we are excited about cryptocurrency, but they are a reality of cryptocurrency. That is also something where we have to look at. Can we develop instruments which reduce this cybercrime element in cryptocurrency? Example given, ransomware, where we all read about and we speak about, and every time when we make a backup, we say, thank you, we still have some data. That is financed through cryptocurrency. There is not a ransomware which says, well, send the money to my traceable bank account, right? And we need to start also solving these elements of cryptocurrency. But from that perspective, we also have to be very realistic and open towards the governments who say, we don't want cryptocurrency because, yeah, you have to solve these things anyway. You have to solve them with US dollars. You have to solve them with all kinds of other payments. So we need to stop seeing cryptocurrency as a separate thing, and we need to start accepting that it is now part of our payment environment. And then we need to start putting the proper regulation and the proper law enforcement in place, and the proper disconnect between fiat and crypto where it is required, and the proper connect where we can actually benefit from it. But on top of that all, I still would like to underline that blockchain should not be synonymous to cryptocurrency, because then we get these sentiments and we get the paranoid people, and that paranoia goes from crypto to blockchain, and that would be a very, very bad thing. So I'm not disagreeing with you, Andy. I just also want to add, let us not forget about the things which are actually going wrong with cryptocurrency, and let's also focus on the solutions for that, because we need to solve it no matter how we are going forward.
All right, Jenny, I think you want to come in, right? You can.
Yes, just now the Andy mentioned about China. Since I'm Chinese, so I want to add a little bit about it. Like, there's a joke we talk about like all the time in the Chinese blockchain community. The joke is like, two cows are chatting in a farm, and one cow is like so concerned and asking another cow like, oh, I heard the crazy cow disease is on now, like I'm so afraid. What if we get that? And the other cow said, oh, what are you talking about? Aren't we chickens? So this joke is actually about the DSAP, the Chinese token, the RMB, what is that called? The DSAP token, like the government issue. Yeah, that is not cryptocurrency. That is a replacement of our current RMB. That is completely different from the cryptocurrency. That is one thing. So many people say that China is adopting the blockchain and cryptocurrency. China is like supporting the blockchain, like the cryptocurrency. Is not. The DSAP is not cryptocurrency. That is something I want to mention about. And I see, and many of my friends, they cannot go back to China anymore. Like, once they set foot in China, they will be caught and sent to jail. Like, so the regulation is very tight there, very tight. So China is not pro cryptocurrency. That is one thing. And the other thing, just Dr. JD just talked about, like it should not be like everything. It should not be like all decentralized. It's not necessary. If the current system is already good enough, why we have to change? Like, I don't understand that. Like, now, like I hear a lot of like strange projects like every day. Like, people are trying to add blockchain and decentralize this concept to everything. which is like completely nonsense. Like, why do you need blockchain in the very first place? If the current system is already good enough, like why you want to get around it and avoid the regulation? Like there's one project called the Filecoin. It's a distributed storage, cloud storage, which I think is nonsense. Like why you need a distributed storage at the very first place? The Amazon cloud is good. The Ali cloud is good. The Baidu cloud is good. Why do I need that? And the cost is extremely expensive. The current system is already good enough. And why you want to get around the regulation and doing something like we completely don't need and super expensive? And that is the other thing. Like I think people are overusing the concept of blockchain. Many things don't need blockchain at all, just like many things don't need internet.
Perfect. So in effect, we don't necessarily have to decentralize everything. And what you're saying is true. Like you log into your Twitter account and you see a lot of crypto projects, and they attach decentralization, that I think if it keeps continuing that way, the term decentralization is even going to lose its integrity, because everything is like, so people even have the concept that blockchain is all about decentralization at all costs, which is very wrong. So I'd like to, this is my final question for the day. I'd like to find out your final thoughts on blockchain beyond the hype. But before then, is Bitcoins and other cryptos, in fact, blockchain technology, in terms of their energy demands, is it going to be the Achilles heel, considering climate issues and environmental issues? Is it going to be the Achilles heel? And what are your final thoughts on blockchain beyond the hype? Let's start with Jenny. As the saying goes, ladies first.
Such as the climate issue, the carbon emission, emission, I heard a lot of things about it, like a lot of people against it. Dr. JD also mentioned about it, but there are like good things and bad things about one thing. Like the technology is neutral. Like internet is good, it changed our life, but there's also dark web, like doing like human trafficking. So like internet can also be used to do bad things. And a blockchain is like really changing the way of our finance, like the way of life. Like it makes a lot of things much easier, and it's tamper-proof. So it creates trust, but it also does some like side effect. So we have to make a balance, like if to see whether the good is greater than the bad. So make a balance is very important. We don't need to decentralize everything. We don't need to blockchain everything. We just like put it into the right place that's really needed and really can improve like everyone's life. Oh, and Dr. Zaidi and Davy mentioned that the innovation, blockchain makes the innovation much easier. Like imagine there's 2 college students want to do a financial project. They want to make a stable fiat money, and they want to raise funds for their project. It's not going to happen in the real world. Never in a million years, but it happened in crypto. There's a stable coin named FEI, FEI. It's just a project created by 2 college students, which like really smart, extremely smart, and they raised billions of dollars on the blockchain because people think, oh, like they like the idea, they think it's going to change the world. And it makes innovation really easy, and it's a platform like you don't even need to know that person. You just agree with the coding and you agree with the smart contract. Then we are all in one team. I really like that idea. You don't need to like do those like social, like you guys go on dinner, like having meals together and have a couple of drinks. You don't need any of that. Just everybody agree on the coding and agree on the smart contract, then we are a team.
Perfect. Before we go on, I'll be glad if you can add Africa to your submission. I think we've talked a lot about the Asian countries and US, and let's try to factor in Africa as well, how Africa can catch in with blockchain. So,
Oh, I think this is a really good one because developing countries, definitely this is a very good opportunity for the developing countries. Like
we
China.
can continue with Davy.
Oh, can I add a little bit more on this?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because
sure.
I'm also from a developing country. Andy mentioned that China is cashless. Like 5-10 years ago, people will never bring a credit card or cash in our pocket for years because we have this Alipay, WeChat Pay. Like everything is e-payment. But why it's not happening in the US or in Europe or in Singapore, those developed countries? Because they already got the system there. Their credit system is like so great, like everybody's using it. It's so hard to change their mind. But China, we skip that. We skip the paycheck. We skip the credit card. We just directly get into the e-payment. And so that makes China like even faster than those developed countries. And the other thing is the Gaotie. How to say Gaotie? The fast railway. The fast railway. Like many European countries and US don't have fast railway, not even 1 mile. But in China, they have like millions of kilometers of the fast highway. That is because our infrastructures is not there. It's easier to build from zero than to destroy something and rebuild again. So for Africa, it is the same thing. Like for Africa, there's not a lot of like infrastructures, so you don't need to disrupt everything. Like you don't need to
do away with.
Yeah, like yes. Like you don't need to like take money from other people's pocket who's already doing it. You are like starting from zero, like what China has made like in this 10 years. So I think cryptocurrency and blockchain is definitely one of the things that you get that Africa can catch up easily.
Awesome. Davy, you can come in.
Yeah, a couple of points. I am concerned about the energy consumption, right?
Yeah.
So the concern of Dr. JD is the same as my concern as well. Today, I think there was a renowned university they studied that says that Bitcoin itself consumes about 70 terawatt per hour of energy, which is equivalent to a country about 45 million people energy consumption. So it is a very real concern, right? I think we need to solve that problem accordingly for it to move forward, because climate change is real. Climate change is not fake. Our global Earth, our home is heating up. So we have to be really mindful how we leverage on the platform, right? So that is one of my concerns, right? But coming back, Singapore, I'd like to mention that Singapore is a financial hub globally. In the old days, Singapore was the third largest ICO market. We raised so much money for ICO market. And today, I encourage everybody to evaluate Singapore as potential financial hub for blockchain innovation accordingly. I'd love to work with all of you in this panel, as well as in this chat room, how we can leverage on Singapore regulation to create the value for the community with innovation, with blockchain innovation. I think that is very important. And typically, like the Uber of the world, like the Grab of the world, like the Tesla of the world, you got to start from one point. It's very important to create a beachhead. And I encourage global entrepreneurs to use Singapore as a beachhead to launch blockchain innovation. The kind of power coming together, even though it's limited, but if you aggregate the power together, we can create a great ecosystem in Singapore and launch it globally. So do consider Singapore, all of you. That's my message. Thank you.
Wow, this is really gonna go far. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will be interested in this project as well. Andy, you can come in.
Okay, so I think I agree with Davy. If you notice, the top 10 or even top 20 projects on the crypto space, none of them are from Singapore. I hope to see more real Singaporeans stepping up to in this cryptoverse. I hope to see that happening, because I think we are walking towards a more realistic environment as we talk right now. We are not just about hype, but if anything, and every one of you think that we are still in the hype, don't worry. The winter market is going to come soon. The bear market is going to come soon. When all the prices drop to almost zero, we will be very hardworking. Is there hype? There's no hype, right? But of course, I didn't want that to happen, because we have our crypto asset. But that if that were to happen, we will definitely go beyond the hype a lot faster. Just like the COVID-19, it brings us superly fast-paced, superly hyped up, superly pumped up for a lot of industry that is more in the digital space. Similarly, for cryptocurrency, we went up for a lot. But when things go down, we will all be working very hard on the infrastructure, very hard on all the technology and implementation. I think that is a very practical thing. We are old enough to have been through a couple of cycles, and I think that is going to happen. As for the climate change, carbon emission, and so forth, to be honest, I talk about climate change when I was fairly young. I do believe there is a need to be sensible in terms of how we dealt with the climate, but pinpointing to Bitcoin as wasting energy, as consuming a lot of energy, I don't think this is a really valid point to look at, because by putting up the energy, you also verify the amount of work, you also created a certain value out from there, right? But if we really want to be very climate friendly, I think we should stop the Zoom call ASAP, because if everybody is on a Zoom call, everyone is on a server, everyone is using, eating, and so forth, there are carbon footprint every day. So I think it's the bits and pieces of things that we need to do to help the environment, not just Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, Ethereum, so forth and so on, every one of them, are all running on servers, running on electricity, and that's how we are all connected. We are not connected on internet. We are connected with all this electricity flow everywhere around us. So my take is we just got to be mindful. We just got to see the pro and cons of having the cryptocurrency around, not just about the climate change. Because if we bring a lot of different things into this pot, it's really difficult to cook a nice soup. We just got to focus on the real stuff. Focus on being the right person, do the right job, and build the industry together. So Africa, I think there's a big chance to grow. So happy to take part in any of the projects, and stay safe. Thanks.
Awesome. So Andy is saying that whilst we focus on what blockchain is bringing up, when it comes to things with climate change, it's a broader view. So, okay, we are going to wait to see what JD has to say on this, because I believe as much as we are interested in the innovation and the technology, we wouldn't like to bring in something that is even going to make it worse off in terms of climate change and worsening environment conditions. But Andy, you didn't add Africa in your submission. What are your thoughts on blockchain and Africa? How can we catch up?
How can you catch up? I think Africa, in terms of technology, in terms of technology embracement, is actually a lot higher than many of the countries in Southeast Asia. So I think in order for blockchain to work, I think you have to see what kind of resources you have. I have a friend who wanted to go to Africa to develop a team of people to do development work for the blockchain space. to develop more projects, you know, from Africa, because what the perception they get is that, you know, it's easier to teach someone that may not have may not have past experience in coding. Teach them what they need to do, with a clear mind. You know, they could code a lot faster. They would they would do the job a lot faster than some of the developers in South Korea or Japan or US, because all of them, they have their own thinking, you know. So I think for South Korea, for Africa, what we should really look at is to develop a more sustainable developer base. I do agree with my friend that could be one angle. The other angle is also to look at the payment. You know, China would be a very good example for you to follow. And it's also not that difficult to have that kind of adoption, because you know, governments are very smart. Government people, they look at the benefit that will come out from cryptocurrency or blockchain. If you can provide a value proposition to them, just like what I did to some of the government, they will understand how this is. Another very quick example, you know, I was giving advice to a casino. You know, casino guys are very much into blockchain. You know, they want to cryptocurrency for their casino, you know, because of course they could always transfer money a lot faster, etc. And we had a closed door session with the government and the casino. End up after the talk and so forth, they realized one big flaw, and there's also a switch in thinking. The government, who was actually against cryptocurrency, now agree that cryptocurrency is good because they can track all the expenses, they can track all the taxation, they can track all the money laundering, so forth and so on. And then the good friend of mine, which is the casino, took a step backwards, because it's not so easy to launder the money, you know. Oops, sorry, wrong word. Not so easy to transfer the money, you know. So you know, these are things that really happen in the space. And if we have the proper knowledge, provide them with the proper framework, I think governments will be a lot happier to do that. Those people who are bad actors or who are trying to do bad things, they will have a second thought, because if they use Bitcoin to transfer, and if the government, for example, wants to track down who the heck withdraw the money, where the money go to, is all traceable. So, you know, being a crook or being the robber, you got to be smart. Being the government, you got to be smarter. You know, so I think that sets a certain tone. You know, how I felt cryptocurrency can help Africa, can help the rest of the world. Just talk to the government more; they will support, and you will get the right support, my friend.
Awesome. So, Dr. JD, if you can finish it up for us.
Well, thank you. Let me start with Africa and what Africa could contribute
Right.
and how could benefit from blockchain. The one thing that we see is Africa is still providing a lot of goods and raw materials and all kinds of food across the world. And that's an important export component for many African countries. Now, if African countries and African companies would embed blockchain, so not talking about crypto, just blockchain, if they would start at the foundation of those supply chains, a data structure in a blockchain platform, then all the other suppliers and all the customers will very quickly embrace the blockchain data chain from those goods. Something as simple as flowers. More than half of the flowers sold in Europe actually come from Africa, although we think that they are European flowers, right? A lot of food that we eat on a daily basis in Europe actually comes from Africa. Now, the European people are very interested in the environment and green labels. What if I can actually read the certification by the farmer in Africa that this is the thing that he or she made? Am I then more interested in that product? Becomes the product more transparent? Let's talk about that, and let's do that in Africa and not in the multinational corporations around the world that just want to use the African farmer as a cheap supplier. That's I think one big opportunity for Africa and for African companies, and especially the smaller ones. And that's one thing that I applaud in what Jenny told us today a few times. When you see blockchain as innovation, it suddenly opens doors for a lot of people around the world. And it doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter how much money they do or do not have. It doesn't matter if they're famous or not. And that is one thing where especially Africa and African students and African companies and African communities can come together. Think about wonderful things like that you as a village create a pool of information which is important for you, and you want to make sure that nobody is falsifying that information. Just the spontaneous thoughts, all those things you can do, because once again, as Jenny pointed out, when you don't have a lot of government organizations who manage all the data and they all have their own data, but you don't have that yet, like we have in Europe. You get crazy about all the bureaucracy here. So if you don't have that yet, you can now build it smart. And that saves time and money and effort and frustration. Wonderful. Now moving that forward, Africa is also one of the countries where there is this very explosive mix of climate, right? We have Sahara, we have thunderstorms, we have the risk of rising sea level at other parts of Africa. If Africa manages together as a continent, and I think it's still the largest continent of the entire world, right? For surface. If Africa managed together, when it comes to blockchain, when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to data, when it comes to climate, to no longer be at the end of the supply chain and at the end of the decisions, but at the beginning, right? Then Africa can also start taking control of what happens and taking control of all the Western oil companies who are active in Africa, make their profits in Europe or in the United States, and still have the Africans sort out their spills, and still have the African countries and African governments try to sort out the disastrous impact on the climate. Africa can really now take control through the one thing which on this world, in this current age, is everything, information. Africa can now claim its information and decide what is happening with that. I think that's the most important opportunity. Moving forward to my main topic, and the only thing I disagreed with my newfound friend Andy today, and I really applaud everything Andy shared with us today, but I do not agree that the energy consumption of Bitcoin in particular is not a problem. From my perspective, it is a very serious problem. And that is not Bitcoin itself, it is the value created by Bitcoin that made the problem. When we were below $100 Bitcoin value, everybody was talking about all the options that could change. And all the improvement suggestions were welcome. As soon as we reached $100 value, and the value became more important than the technology, all conversations stopped, and the only focus was on when will the next halving be? How can I rush as fast as possible to profit? Will it be 100,000 this year or next year? And we lost the focus on two technical things in Bitcoin that must be improved, but are now too late. The energy consumption and the CPU requirement. The CPU requirements of Bitcoin is ridiculous. For that little value, let's be honest, because it's big, it's huge, but still it is little value compared to all the other value in the world. And Bitcoin uses more CPU capacity than Amazon Cloud. You cannot sustain that. That is ridiculous, right? And a result of that is the energy consumption. And you cannot sustain that in a world where we have 1/3 of the world's population. And unfortunately, a big part of that is in Africa. Without proper electricity, without proper sanitation, and even without connectivity. So consuming so much for the wealthy ones and depriving the ones who do not have is, from my perspective, what sums up what is wrong with Bitcoin and what sums up also what is wrong with part of our society. And not everybody, but a part of it. Flipping that coin, and as Jenny said very, very correctly, there's always a good side and a bad side. The internet is a wonderful thing and it is a bad thing. So let's continue to improve the good thing and let's continue to reduce and control the bad parts, right? That's the way forward. So Bitcoin itself is not bad, but the two aspects of Bitcoin are criminal or not sustainable. That's my personal opinion. Thanks.
Welcome, Dr. JD. That is amazing submission from our wonderful guest for today's discussion on blockchain beyond the hype. But before then, recently Teta announced that they are going to establish their headquarters for Africa in Ghana. So I just want to throw it to you all. If you guys think there's some projects we can work around, especially in blockchain and in Africa, I think you can consider Ghana and we can start something. I mean, Dr. JD is here, Andy is here, Davy is here. He is more into, I mean, like, I can say that the panelists on this discussion are exactly the expertise you need if you really want to put up a project and if you would like to consider Africa and Ghana in respective.